Howdy, Dead Nation. Welcome to Half Dead Dads, the official first actual video, other than the introduction, of our podcast. I'm Richie.
I'm Chris. And let me preface this by saying this is a disclaimer. These are our opinions. These are our views. They are not meant for overthrowing or doing anything illegal with. You don't have our right. Okay. Now, for today's poll, which one of us is closer to being a misogynist? 1 for Richie, 2 for Chris. We'll wait.
TikTok, motherfucker.
All right. Title of episode 1. Question that I want to pose to you, Richie.
Okay.
What is the next major conflict that the U.S. is going to be involved in, if you had to take a guess?
If I had to take a guess, and, strictly speaking, this is just my opinion, I would put it at probably a 10% chance that there will be a civil war in America within the next 4 years.
Yeah, 10% is probably a little too high for me. I mean, granted, I think it's still going to happen, but I think it's going to be a 5% chance at the moment.
Okay.
But give it a year or two, and that'll probably jump up pretty quickly, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah.
And
but what do you think would be the cause? Because my cause would probably be completely different than yours.
And I have a feeling it would.
Mine is, like the division in America today and everything else. Like, you've got liberals versus, conservatives, which is one way that it could, potentially pop off. You've got, different races that it could pop off with. You've got, I mean, there's just, to me, those would be the two main causes of a potential civil war in America if it was to happen.
See, me personally, I feel that the main reason for it, and we're going to catch a lot of flack, so be ready.
Okay. I can't wait to hear this one.
My personal belief is we are going to demand a hard reset of people. Let's say people. We are going to demand a hard reset and go back to the old ways of believing. And I have a feeling what's going to happen is the 19th is going to be repealed. Now,
okay.
Do you know what the 19th is?
Yeah, that's the women's right to vote. So
yeah.
You're basically saying that we are supposed to be demanding a reset of women in America.
Well, no, not just women, people. I mean, dear God, have you seen some of the entitled people that we have today?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's going to be a whole nother freaking topic somewhere, I'm sure.
I agree. But, I mean, with the entitlement alone, we're going to sit there and everybody's going to sit there and be like, okay, why are we not back in like the mentality and era that we were 50, 60, 70 years ago before things like the sexual revolution and anything like that?
Well, if you go that route, 50, 60, 70 years ago was also, like, hate to say it, like the whole race wars, like, all that good stuff also. So, I mean,
see,
you had Jim Crow laws, you had segregation, you had this, that, and the other.
I'm going to say this. Morgan Freeman, I saw an interview with Morgan Freeman talking to some guy. This was maybe back in the 90s because it was real grainy video. Okay? The guy sat there and started asking questions about racism. It's a white guy, too, asking Morgan Freeman about racism. Morgan Freeman just calmly looked at this guy and said, he's like, the guy said, how do we stop racism? Morgan Freeman just looked at him and calmly said, stop talking about it.
Exactly. I mean,
I'm going to treat you like a man.
Mm-hmm.
You treat me like a man as well.
Mm-hmm. I don't care what color somebody is. If you treat me with respect, I'm going to treat you with respect.
Exactly. That's how we were raised. That's how we were brought up, and the military sat there and instilled that into our head. You will give respect.
Yeah. It don't matter, what race, creed, sexual orientation and everything else you are and everything else. You treat me with respect, I'm going to treat you with respect.
Now, I say that this is the reason for the Civil War and everything, but I don't think it's going to be like the old Civil War back long ago. I don't think there's going to be much in the way of bloodshed. I think it's going to be a lot of talking, a lot of arguing back and forth, and then somebody is just going to sit there and slam down and say, you know what? This is what we're doing. Now, I know there's laws and rules that we have to go with, and, even repealing the 19th got to go through so much. But I have a feeling that that's what's going to do it, and it's going to take a dog. It's going to take a if it happens, it's going to be quick. It's not going to be very lengthy. I think it's going to be one of those. A weekend happens, and Monday morning it's going to be, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're doing. Everybody, and it's not just the 19th. It's just I have a problem with everybody voting. We know a lot of dumb people. We've seen a lot of dumb people.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a feeling that.
So my question is, why is it that you want to repeal the women's right to vote?
I don't want to appeal it. I didn't say I did. I said that that's what's more likely going to happen. Do I honestly have a belief that I don't think that everybody should vote? I really don't.
I mean, I have the same belief, honestly. Like, I honestly have a firm belief that there's certain people who have a chance to earn the right to vote. It shouldn't just be handed to them.
Now, I will go ahead and say that most men, let's go ahead and use the words able-bodied and sound mind. Okay? Now, they have to register for selective service.
I had to.
Okay,
everybody had to.
Every male has to.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go ahead and be completely honest. It's every able-bodied and sound mind male.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we go off on a tangent of people not voting and everything like that, let me bring this back to the Civil War and the idea that it's going to be no bloodshed, a lot of working and everything like that, or a lot of talking, a lot of arguing in the Supreme Court and the House of Representatives.
Well, see, first I can't agree with you that there would be no bloodshed, because depending on, it could lead to bloodshed. I mean, maybe not, guns and all that stuff, but fist fights breaking out between X, Y, Z. You know what I mean?
And there's going to be violence, and there's always going to be violence. I mean, dear God. I mean, I think there was a riot after Toys R Us closed down. All right, so everybody's going to find a reason to be violent. But I think they're going to try to keep as less bloodshed, because what it's going to turn down to, it's going to turn into, at the beginning, it's going to turn down to a battle of the sexes, men versus women, so on and so forth, blase. And then you're going to have how do I phrase this? The bleeding hearts that we know exist in this country.
Sorry, guys. My dog is overly protective.
So, you. Oh dear God, I lost my train of thought. Where was I at?
You were talking about violence.
Okay, yeah. I think it's going to be as less violent as possible because let's follow this logic train with me. Okay, it's going to start off with battle of the sexes, men versus women.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to get these people that sit there and bleeding hearts for the women.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then the bleeding hearts for the women are going to turn it into a political game. And then the political games, that's where it's going to ultimately come down to. It's going to be conservative versus progressive.
Oh, I get it.
And let us be real here. Okay. Your average liberal progressive does not own a gun.
Well, I mean, nobody's talking about guns and everything else right this second, anyways. But here's my take on like the liberal versus conservative thing.
Yeah.
Conservatives are more likely to have clearer thoughts, see the bigger picture, not go based off of emotion and how something makes them feel. They look at logic, and honestly, you know, we can take the 2024 election as a referendum in America that there's more conservatives than there are liberals because you know, we were raised a certain way. We see the lunacy from the left. You know, I mean, because you got to admit there's a lot of fucking lunacy.
That I've seen videos of just people from the left lying constantly and getting caught with it and sitting there just they'd have one video and say, no, the perfect video that I can think of is I can't remember who the speaker was. I mean, I want to say it was Kamala. She sat there and said that there was nobody deployed in any dangerous zones. Mm-hmm. And there was a TikTok of a group of soldiers in apparel in a tent saying, where are we then?
Exactly. Like, I mean, you know, and then, you know, my thing is, you know, you have these liberals who are like sitting there saying, you know, lying about something. And then whenever caught in that lie, they double down and say, well, no, you're being lied to. And then they want to freaking call you, you know, like a Nazi or a fascist and all this other stuff. And it's like, you do realize that progressive is what, I hate to compare it, but what Hitler and Mussolini and Stalin were, which is which is all democratic socialist, which is the same thing as a national socialist, which is what the Nazis were.
Okay, now I could kind of see what you're getting at, but you're going to have to piece it together for me. How is a democratic socialist like Hitler?
Like Hitler? Okay, well, perfect example. The anti-Semite movements on college campuses, right? That's all liberals doing. Like, it's all liberals who are the anti-Semites. Hitler, we all know what happened there. So, I mean, you also have the fact that, you know, you're a National Socialist. You believe, you know, that you are superior to everybody else. Like, you're supposed to be, you know, like it, pretty much. and everybody else is supposed to fall in line with your way of thinking and everything else. And I don't agree with that. I mean, there's a lot of fucking lunacy on the left that I just do not 100% support. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
but you sit there and you're like, you have liberals who have for years called for censorship on free speech or this, that, and the other, and
Mhm.
then they say that it's for the good of America to censor free speech or censor what you can and can't post on certain social media sites and everything else. And
Tone
it's
policing.
yeah, they're trying to police, which is the exact same thing that the Nazis did in World War II, or before World War II and in World War II. They tried to police, free speech. If you spoke out against them, guess what? You're taking a trip to, Never Never Land.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. I can see where you're getting at. But going back to the original question, when we were talking about a war and everything, we do realize that there is a winner and a loser.
Yeah. Conservatives,
Okay.
hands down, are always going to win because,
You,
to me, we're more intelligent. We look at things logically, and it's basically one of those things where, the biggest majority, and I hate to say it, the biggest majority of conservatives have all served in the military, have some degree of training, whether hand to hand, whatever. There's a lot more conservative veterans than there are liberal bleeding heart veterans.
Okay. Then let's.
We actually love our country and everything else, and to us, if you sit there and you fucking hate America so much, fucking pack your shit and get the fuck out.
Okay. So, I mean, let's play devil's advocate for a second. Okay. Let me just straight up ask you, do you have a problem with the fact of taking away the 19th from, well, not just the 19th, I mean, the right to vote from everybody?
I mean, I said I somewhat agree with you, and I like, we went the service, selective service route and everything else. Every able-bodied, sound mind, male has to register. I mean, it's just a fact of life.
Okay.
So,
all right. Now, go ahead.
But to me, you should not be allowed to vote unless you've either served in the military or you have a job like a law enforcement officer or a nurse or, like healthcare worker, or you do some sort of work for veterans and everything else. You know what I mean? Like, you should automatically be allowed to vote.
Yeah. And I agree with that. And I agree with that.
I mean, you could do you could even do a protected duty class. You know what I mean? Like,
okay,
military.
No, I like how you said the word duty. Okay, because I think that's what's actually missing in a lot of in this nation right now is this sense of duty.
Well, there's a sense of what's missing is a sense of pride in America.
You think it's pride?
I hate to say it. Look at it this way. The last time that there was actually pride in America and everybody came together regardless of creed, race, anything like that, September 11th.
Yeah.
Like September 11th. That's the last time that we all were united against a common enemy.
Yeah. Now you got that right.
So, I mean, there's the look at it this way. We were attacked on our home turf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, we were all fucking Americans. It didn't matter, if you're Muslim, whatever. If you are an American, you were pissed off because we were attacked. Because you love America. You know what I mean? You love America to the point where you were ready to, let's go get these bastards.
Listen, I think that it's still, I mean, you've still got to, I mean, pride is one thing, but I mean, that's why it's a sin. I mean, That's why it's one of the 7 deadly sins. Pride is a dangerous thing. But that's why I sit there and think it's a thing of duty. I mean, think about it like this. I mean, let's rewind time. Okay.
Okay.
And you don't even have to go too far back into the 1950s. Okay. There was a sense of duty with everything. I mean, women were chaste, so they had a sense of duty to the family. They were everybody was raised around family being the most important thing, because if you don't sit there and strive to better the people that are coming up, then your generation is going to be sorely lacking when the next generation does come up.
No, I get what you're saying. But then that leads into another segue and everything else, like, you know what I mean? Because that can go to looking at parents today. You know what I mean? I mean, people, you know, kids today have a sense of entitlement that I know I would have got popped upside the fucking head with for having.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I ever
crossword came out of the mouth, pop.
If I ever told my, you know, grandma or grandpa or mom and dad or whatever, you know, no, kiss my ass, I'm not doing that, I wouldn't be here today.
Switch. If you're a grandma and grandpa, it's a switch.
Well, I wouldn't be here today because I'd have got knocked into orbit.
Mm-hmm.
Like there ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I mean, you know, that's neither here nor there, because that's one of those, you know, that's something that needs its own show for.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's stick with the premise of this show then. Let's go back to this protected duty class that you so proudly brought up. Okay. Mm-hmm. What jobs do you, so if you do these dutiful jobs, you earn the right to vote?
You earn the right to vote and everything else, and as long as you're, you know, like, okay, spitballing here, you put in a 20-year career, right?
Okay. Career of what?
Okay, so say you spent 20 years in the military, or, you know, okay, minus the military, because to me, you serve in the military, you automatically get a lifetime of rights to vote, period.
Yeah, male or female, I wholeheartedly believe that.
Male or female, you get the right to vote for life.
Yeah.
Regardless if you're fucking, you know, dishonorable discharged, all that good shit, you know what I mean? Or you're honorably discharged, you still get that right to vote because you wrote a blank check up to and including your life for your country.
Yeah. Okay.
Another example is if, you know, you're a police officer, you automatically earn the right to vote. Now,
okay, so I'm assuming with police officers, we're also talking about fire departments, maybe even paramedics or something like that. Oh, nurses. Okay, nursing field.
Healthcare, exactly. You know,
healthcare would be a good one.
That's straight up a duty. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because they're on the front lines whenever nobody else. You know, I mean, hell, look at the statistics. They're critically short-staffed because of funding and everything else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you know, I know nurses who have to work short-staffed because their company can't, you know, afford to hire more people who actually know what they're doing. They have to pay to get them trained, and then they come in at a lower pay rate and everything else than the people who have already been there and know what they're doing because of budget cuts, or because, you know, all of a sudden you've got this hospital or this, you know, doctor's office or whatever who's not complying with federal regulations, so now they're hit with a penalty, and now they're having to cut, you know, people, and then it's like, you know, they're so short-staffed, so they're having to, you know, they're wore out. They're going to get, to me, they're eventually going to get burned out to the point where they just say, you know what, fuck this, I can't handle it anymore, and quit.
Yeah. Okay. Quitting. perfect segue into this. I'm going to throw a spitball at you. Okay. As if you are in the middle of one of these protected duty classes, if I'm working as, let's say, I'm a big guy and everything like that, I could probably do nursing pretty easy. Throwing around people, lifting them up, changing, everything like that. Let's put me as a nurse, okay?
Okay.
Let's shut up.
Nurse Chris.
All right. Okay. All right. All right. So we've got, let's say that I work for 5 years. 5 years, according to our protected duty class, I've got 5 years of voting. Spitball the idea. If I quit, will I still get the job? Will I still get the right?
To me, no.
Okay.
You haven't put in enough time.
Okay, so 20 years, you get permanent.
20 years, you get permanent right to vote for the rest of your life. Because you are doing something dutiful. You are taking care
and retired from it and everything.
And you're retired from it and everything else. Now, I'm not saying that, once you reach that, 10-year mark and everything else, you can't advance or whatever. But you've got 10 years, like, say you put in 10 years as a nurse. Okay? That's 10 years that you have the right to vote, right?
Okay.
So, my question would be, do you immediately sit there and start the clock at that point? Or can you, because, national elections, every 4 years, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, technically, you would only be able to vote twice. But you've already put in 10 years. So, does that mean that the next time there's a national vote, you get the right to vote also? But to me, like, that's one of those, there's a lot of different things that you could go with on that,
Well, of course, you'd have to take it. So you'd have to take into account so many regulations, so many jobs that sit there and be like, "Oh, I've got a dutiful job, dude. You dig a ditch. You're not dutiful."
No, I mean, like, construction. Fuck you. I mean, and this is coming from somebody who's worked in the oil field. Like, I mean, I've done that and everything else. Would that be would that be a dutiful, thing?
I don't know, but I mean, I want to say yes, because anybody that works in the oil field is, I mean, you're distributing something that we need worldwide.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, but the thing is, would you put them under a duty class?
I mean, it's to me, you would.
You're the worker here, man. It's I never worked in the oil field a day in my life.
Okay, well, to me, you would, because you take into consideration, there was times where I'd work for 3 months straight, and 16-hour days, and it's like, granted, I could have gone home, after my hitch, but I like the money. I ain't gonna lie.
We all do.
I love the money. But, it was one of those things where, I'm putting my life on the line every day because something could fucking cause the rig that I'm working on to explode. Or, I could get crushed. There's so many different hazards out there. And I'm doing something that we need. You know what I mean? Like oil. Like getting oil and natural gas out of the earth to use or to sell for our country to sell overseas. You know what I mean? To me,
okay. But then you'd have to sit there and offer the same advice to offer the same thing to a profession that I was a part of. Okay, I was a truck driver.
Oh yeah, truck drivers get it.
Okay.
They're part of the protection.
The whole continental U.S. I was driving. I mean, crap. I think in 6 months I covered 46 of the 48 continental states.
No, to me, a truck driver is automatically duty class because they're having to, they're shipping, they're the ones who are basically keeping America running.
Okay.
Not just the economy, but America as a whole.
Man.
And then
Okay,
you've got
so
railroad operators. You've got, anything that has to do with logistics, pretty much, would be a
okay, so our pretty much anything. Okay, so we're talking dutiful positions, fast food workers, any type of service industry that has to deal with food. I mean, granted, I have mad respect for people that do waitressing and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I have mad respect for
But-
them. You're on your feet 8 to 10 hours a day carrying heavy trays, dealing with modern people.
But again, does that warrant a protected class?
And that's the bad thing. I mean, I want anybody that sits there and does hard, intense labor. I want to sit there and say, yes, they get a chance to vote. But I mean, then, I mean, as soon as you open the floodgates for one, you open the floodgates for them all. Okay. Mm-hmm. If we say servers get it because of the fact that they are in a dutiful position, then you're going to sit there and have somebody come across and, oh dear God, we don't have video stores anymore, so that was going to be worthless. Speaking of that, have you seen? When was the last time you've seen a video store?
Probably 10 years ago.
10 years. There was one here, there was one around the area that I live. Closed down maybe about 5 years ago.
Was it family?
That was the last one that I saw. No.
Huh.
Yeah, mom and pop place.
Okay. Well, I mean, like I said, previous video, I am from the same area, so.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it closed down 5 years ago. I thought it was like closed. Well, I mean, it
might have been
in the area. So,
dude, I even the area, even the fact that I live in the area, I can't remember crap. Everything changes left and right.
But I mean, but going back to your, topic and everything else, like, it was, servers, yes, technically it would be a dutiful thing because they're having to take care of other people and everything else. But to me, they're not a protected class.
Okay.
Because what benefit are they making to America?
Okay, so anything. So we're generally talking anything that helps others. Essentially
helps others or helps the nation. Yes, like
the nation. Okay.
Postal workers.
Okay, yeah, they're guaranteed.
Shipbuilders, dock workers.
Okay, so union officials.
No.
Union jobs?
It don't even have to be a union job.
Okay.
I mean, granted, they are union positions mostly and everything else, but okay, you got electricians, plumbers, people like that. To me, that's a dutiful position.
Then it seems like we're not, then we're pretty much just sitting there saying that everybody can vote because we can sit there and say that we can sit there and honestly put it to the grindstone and say that everybody should vote. And because this is they'll make cases for everything being dutiful. You know how that is.
No, I know what you're saying and everything else, but, again, it goes to, is it really a dutiful, job to flip burgers for people?
No, and I mean, I've done that job, so I mean, I could sit there and say yes. I mean,
I've done it too.
But no, I get that. All right.
But to me, it's not a dutiful position because all you're doing is just standing there flipping burgers, helping somebody become, because it's giving them a quick, instead of having to go home and cook for the family, let's just stop at McDonald's, or some other fast food chain, grab dinner real quick because it's faster. We've got this, it's a convenience. It's not really a duty.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, it's strictly convenience.
Yeah. Okay.
But, like,
all right. Well,
the duty to me would be, like electricians, I mean, like, especially guys that go out on the high lines and everything else. You know what I mean? Like, the transmission.
I mean, I've seen some of those videos.
They have to, like, they put their lives on the line every day so that way people have electricity.
Yeah.
You know, oil field workers, they put their life on the line every day so that way you have oil for your engine, gas for your car. You know,
Okay.
even for those people who, use EVs and everything else. Like, you've got coal, oil, and everything else also needed for EVs.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you've got all this other, you got nurses, police officers, dock workers, truck drivers. To me, that's all protected automatically. Like if you do that,
Yeah.
and let's take it a step further. Let's say you do that for 10 years and you get hurt or whatever, and now you have to go on disability.
Okay.
Well, now you've lost, you know, income pretty much. Like you're not making what you were and everything else.
Okay.
Why strip the right to vote from you at that point? You've already put in
Yeah.
10 years. You've gave blood, sweat, and tears to this. So, I mean, honestly, I think if you are in a protected duty class, then, you automatically get the right to vote, period.
Okay. I think I can sweep my head around that.
I mean, like looking at it from this point of view, like, I mean, I even just changed my own mind. Because at first I was going to say if you put in 20 years, you get it for life. You know what I mean? Now
Yeah.
I'm looking at it like, okay, well, if you do this, you automatically get it for life.
Okay. Okay. I got a question for you. Another spitball idea. I'm a firm believer that anybody that is sound body and sound mind and able bodied should do at least 2 years.
Yeah.
I really think, I honestly believe.
I mean, like we touched on earlier, men who turn 18 who are able bodied, sound mind have to register for selective service, aka the draft.
Yeah.
In the event that it's needed. But to me, yes, mandatory service of 2 years should be implemented if you are sound mind, able bodied.
And I 100% agree. Yeah, I 100% agree. Not agree. We're in the world, dude. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, I get that it's late and everything else, but no, to me, everybody should have to do a mandatory 2 years, and here's why:
mhm.
it instills core values like duty, honor, respect,
Selfless service, honor,
selfless
integrity.
service, integrity, fucking love of country.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I mean, a lot of people today don't actually love the country that they're in.
Doesn't seem like it.
I mean,
It really doesn't.
especially like this is going to be an unpopular opinion from me. Kneeling during the national anthem.
Dude, you don't even need.
Somebody should be allowed to walk up and fucking punch you right in the goddamn face.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Dude, I saw that one.
To me, the flag has nothing to do with a sporting event or justice for certain groups and all this other shit. That American flag is for our country, and there's countless men and women over the years who have gave their life for that flag. And you're not just you're disrespecting their service, you're disrespecting your country, you're disrespecting everything by taking a knee.
Yeah. Or not holding your hand over your heart when they say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh yeah, well, and I believe that the Pledge of Allegiance should be brought back to schools. Period. Like,
good, dude.
It should be mandatory.
Agreed. Once again, it sits there and instills love of country by sitting there. And I mean, we know as a repetition always sits there and instills. How do you teach a kid not to do something or to do something? You sit there and constantly remind them.
Yeah, or you could do it the hard way and okay, the stove's hot. Well, I'm gonna go touch it.
I gave you your warning. Learn.
I gave you a warning.
That's how.
It's your job to learn.
I had a buddy back in the service. Kid had a problem with lights. Loved light sockets. Loved unplugging and plugging back in a lamp. He got a call while we were in the field saying that he had to return home out of the field. Nothing big, nothing bad. But apparently his son electrocuted himself. Knocked him on his ass.
Oh, shit.
And my soldier sat there and asked me, what am I supposed to do? I was like, absolutely nothing. Look at him and tell him, you're not going to do that again, are you?
Or to look at him and be like, what important lesson did you learn?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
okay. Yeah.
But no, to me, if you disrespect the flag, it should be legal. Like, you know, for somebody to just walk up and knock the ever-living fuck out of you.
Dude, what would you have done back in the old days when you saw somebody burning the flag?
I'd be in jail.
Oh my God. I really can't. I would be in jail too.
Like, I mean, that's looking at it, the only way to properly take care of a flag that is, you know, tattered and everything else is to burn it. That's how they retire old flags.
Hey, brother, hold on just 2 seconds. Apparently, one of my kids doesn't like the fact that I'm still awake.
The youngest?
One of them. So let's go ahead and end the video tonight. I mean, I think we covered enough. I think we did a pretty good job.
I mean, yeah, we can pick up on the rest, you know, next video.
All right. Well, I mean, Dead Nation, thank you for...
We can go ahead and give them a teaser for the next video.
Oh, dear God, I can't remember what the next video is.
So, you know, apparently this is going to be a two-parter. It's going to be, you know, I also believe that Congress, Senate, and the President should have to do a mandatory 2 years before running for office. And if you didn't...
Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
If you didn't serve in the military, you don't get to run for office.
That's going to be a good one.
So...
All right.
Go ahead.
Dead Nation, thank you for following us. Thank you for listening. I know that this is probably going to be one of the weirdest videos that you see from us because we're trying to get everything situated.
Yep. Y'all have a good night and take care. Come back now, you hear? Later.
Later.